From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Christopher Cruz reporting. U.S. and European markets fell Monday as speculation over trade wars deepened worries across the globe. U.S. stocks fell more than 1%. European markets were down even more. Losses were widespread, but technology stocks suffered the most, dropping more than 2% in the sector's biggest one-day decline since April. The U.S. is scheduled to start raising tariffs on more than $30 billion in Chinese imports in 2 weeks. China has promised to retaliate immediately, putting the world's two largest economies at odds. The American motorcycle maker Harley-Davidson has announced that spiraling costs from tariffs have led it to begin shifting production of its vehicles headed for Europe to overseas factories. The company said in a regulatory filing Monday that EU tariffs on its motorcycles exported from the United States jumped between 6% and 31%, which it says translates into an additional cost of about $2,200 per average motorcycle. The company said increasing international production represents the only sustainable option to make its motorcycles affordable to European customers. Hundreds of Iranians in Tehran have joined street rallies against the country's worsening economic conditions, creating the biggest anti-government protest in the Iranian capital in years. Monday's protest began at Tehran's Grand Bazaar, where Iranian state media said shopkeepers shut their doors. This is VOA News. 2 airstrikes by the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen on Monday killed at least 8 civilians. The airstrike took place in Yemen's northwestern Amran province near the capital, Sana'a. UN and international aid agencies are working around the clock to lessen the risks of flooding and landslides caused by monsoon rains in Rohingya refugee camps in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. Correspondent Lisa Schlein reports for VOA from Geneva.
Humanitarian agencies estimate 200,000 of the more than 700,000 Rohingya refugees that have fled to Cox's Bazar since August to escape violence in Myanmar are likely to be most affected by this disaster. Surveys late last year showed the refugees were 15% above the WHO malnutrition emergency threshold. The agencies are appealing for support from the international community, saying the situation in Cox's Bazar is desperate and will become worse in the coming weeks. Lisa Schlein for VOA News, Geneva.
Efforts to find and rescue 12 teenage soccer players and their coach from a flooded cave complex in Thailand have entered their third day. Uruguay has completed its group play action by thumping the host country. Correspondent Ethan Coolbaugh reports.
Luis Suarez struck first in Uruguay's 3-0 victory over host country Russia to win Group A in Monday's action at the World Cup. It's the first time since 2010 that Uruguay has won the group stage, and it did so without conceding a goal. In other Group A action, Saudi Arabia earned its first World Cup win since 1994, 2-1 over Egypt. In Group B, Iago Aspas' 90th minute equalizer gave Spain a 2-2 draw with Morocco. Iran played Portugal to a 1-1 draw after Karim and Sirifad's 93rd minute penalty. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Actress Roseanne Barr has given an emotional interview in the aftermath of her racist tweet. AP Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports.
Roseanne Barr tells the podcast The Blast she is willing to accept the consequences of what she's done, but she says many people don't accept her apology. ABC canceled the revival of her sitcom Roseanne after she tweeted last month comparing former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett to a person created by the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. Barr says the tweet did not mean what people think it did.
I'm not stupid, for God's sake, and I never would have wittingly called any black person say they are a monkey.
I'm Margie Zaraletta.
Thousands of people have evacuated a fire in Northern California. You can find more on these and other late-breaking and developing stories from around the world around the clock at voanews.com and on the VOA News mobile app.
That's the latest world news from VOA.